Alright, so guys, I'm just gonna give you a brief update of on what's happening this week. Okay, so we have CIP today, Tuesday, and FOMC tomorrow on Wednesday. And looking at the price action of DXY, we can see that it has created a CB right here, as I've mentioned before on the weekly forecast video. So because we closed within this CB, I would be expecting downside targets like right around here, this sell side right here, because this sell side is also a weekly BC fair value gap right here. Okay, so as I've mentioned before, if we were to see dollar attack this, if we want to see dollar attack the sell stops down here, then I think I would need the weekly close to be below this fair value gap right down here. Okay, the one in green. So let's see how this week presents itself, but I think this weekly fair value gap is the most likely objective for this week. Okay, Monday we shot through this fair value gap into this balanced price range right here. Okay, so why is it a balanced price range? Okay, we have two candles crossing entirely through this gap right here. So essentially, if price moves away from this gap, this would become a balanced price range. So right now we have found resistance with the balanced price range. Okay, so at what point I would switch to bullish dollar if price is able to close above the balanced price range, right? But right now it doesn't seem very likely, right? But I cannot guarantee, nobody can, because this week we have lots of manipulation events, especially CPI and FOMC. All right, so if we are bullish in dollar, what I am expecting is CPI to drive dollar down into the weekly fair value gap, and then FOMC is going to drive it back up, and then dollar resumes the bull trend. Okay, the bullish trend. This is what I'm anticipating for this week. So we would see Tuesday/Wednesday low of the week, right? Power of 3 weekly candle for the dollar. That is what I would love to see, because as price action has printed, we are essentially bullish on dollar. So any form of retracements into this fair value gap right here, it's a longing opportunity. And if dollar is gonna be very bearish, then of course any daily closes below this fair value gap, I would like to see dollar seek lower prices. But any weekly closures below this, as I am repeating myself right now, any weekly closures below this, then we will look for bearish dollar next week. Okay, so this is my plan going forward this week, basing off of what has happened on Monday, right? Moving on to the indexes, right? On the weekly time frame, of course, we are bullish for ES, basically the equities, since we are going to have a bearish dollar. Okay, so right now what I am looking for is dollar, the equities, not equities, but the ES to take out the buy stops up here, and I want to see if it can overextend a little bit, just a little bit, up into this volume imbalance. All right, if so, then I think that would be the top for equities, and then the downtrend should ensue, right? But the problem here is that I am not trying to call the top, so I will just play according to the current narrative of the price action itself. So right now, of course, I am only interested in looking for longs. So heading down into the daily time frame, on a daily time frame, any price closures below this swing low, okay, because this swing low essentially is a weekly fair value gap right down here. So it could come back into this area here, all right, if it wants to, before higher prices. But any closure below the balanced price range, or should I say the fair value gap right down here, any closures below, then of course I would seek sell stops here. And if price action is to support the idea, then I will look for the equal lows down here. Okay, so back to the daily. Yeah, so any closures or any attack on this sell stops right here, I would want to see the reaction, whether it's a turtle soup or it's a trend reversal. All right, so let me just adjust this. So on the lower time frames, I have narrowed down the prices or the levels that I'm interested in into this buy side right here today. So I believe CPI is gonna send the price into this buy side today, and how much high, how much how far or how deep it's gonna reach into above the buy side liquidity, I'm not too sure. But my main focus is for 409. So on 4 hours time frame, as you can see, we have a 4 hours BC right here. Okay, heading down into the 1 hour, we have two 1 hour BCs, and of course I keep narrowing down if I see too big of a gap or too many fair value gaps together. Okay, so narrowing down to 15 minutes, and then we have this BC as well. So overall, I still think that this is a little bit too far stretched. Like, let's say if price is to come back down here and then reverse, but the thing is that I'm not too sure, because I am not a, personally speaking, I'm not too keen into the markets when I see price actions like this. Okay, because it's like, even if you want to enter into this area here and then your stop loss is down, it's too, the risk is too much. Okay, for me personally, it's too much. Okay, so I would prefer something like for example, let's say on the look at the 5 minutes, it's just consistent up close candles. Okay, so for me personally, I would prefer something like this, right? This type of entry, and then the stop loss is this order block down here. I think this type of entry, it's more suitable for me. So looking off of the 5 minutes, what we have is I've noted down the new day opening gap and the midnight open. So let's say if you were to get a power of 3 daily candle, right? So the daily candle just keeps pulling higher, right? Despite the fact that it has ran quite a lot, then I think we are going to get a longing opportunity below midnight opening price. So right now we're in London, of course, London session from midnight to 6, that is London, and we have this fair value gap right down here coupled with the breaker down here. This is a breaker block. Okay, so again, why is this a breaker? Because swing low, lower low, and then we close up the high that made the low, closed above that swing high that made this low right here. So essentially the last up close candle, the highest closure up close candle, is the breaker. Okay, so this as a breaker has a nice confluence, because we do have this fair value gap right down here. It could want to retrace all the way down here and then send price higher, so you get like this type of accumulation, manipulation, and then distribution. So I would love to think that CPI is going to be the manipulation lower, and after CPI, price is just going to reverse higher. This is what I'm anticipating. So but because we have a trending Asia session, right? We have a trending Asia session. London, I want to see if it consolidates and go higher, or it just consolidates and accumulates till the AM session when we will have the CPI news driver. Okay, so based on market profile, this is not the this is not the day that I would really love to trade, but I would like to see what London do. Okay, for my preferred trade setups, I would prefer Asia to be consolidating and London gives us the manipulation. So that is usually the higher probability days that I would much prefer. So based off my experience, if Asia is trending, London should trend in the same direction as Asia, right? From You will get the entry from around 2 a.m. to 3 a.m. New York, if I'm not mistaken. So usually during that timing, you would get a Q zone entry into the higher time frame objectives if it is close by. So right here, I think it's pretty close, and I think it's not a problem to have that. So we might get something like this on the other hand if London is to continue the trend higher. Okay, so we might get a dig inside this area here during 2 to 3, and then we push higher, and then maybe around here price would consolidate. Okay, consolidate, and then maybe manipulation higher, and then we come back all the way down if price is to be bearish. All right, for equities, but because dollar is gonna be bearish, so I assume that we are gonna have a accumulation, manipulation, and then further distribution. All right, oops, I mean the arrows, further distribution higher. Okay, that is what I'm expecting. So in a case whereby this is going to be a bull flag, right, something like this as well, just a repeating pattern. Okay, so yeah, overall bias is still bullish for ES. Okay, so this is my update for the forex. For forex and ES futures. Right, if you take a look at the SMTs, we are pretty much in line. There's no lower highs on any equities on the lower time frames, but let's take a look at the daily time frames. Right, as you can see, Dow Jones is slightly lagging behind, but it's catching up. So I don't see any form of a reversal. Okay, right, to have a high probability of reversal, I want to see SMT. So right now I have zoomed in into the weekly chart. Okay, so the weekly chart right here shows that Dow Jones have this high here and this high here. So honestly, it's kind of a messy price action, but anyways, I would personally be looking at this high first. Okay, if Dow Jones takes out this high, then I would look at the highs made right here. Okay, so overall, if I see that Dow Jones is like making lower highs, like what it is doing right now, as compared to ES and Nasdaq, they are on a uptrend making higher highs, then I would much prefer to lean on bearishness for the equities, but right now it has not shown any evidence of reversals just yet. Okay, for the foreign exchanges, I mean FX as well, everything's pretty much in line. Higher euro, higher GBP, lower dollar, so nothing much has changed. And yeah, it might be just a small retracement into that weekly fair value gap, as I have mentioned before, higher prices. Okay, so overall I'm still bullish on the dollar. Alright, so let's see how this is going to play out, and I think that's it for the updates, and I hope you find this insightful. If so, please leave a like or a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Happy and good luck trading.